13 live. Good evening or good morning, depending where you are in the world. But on the East Coast, it's still evening and it's 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And the National Hurricane Centre will be doing an update in 2 hours, which will show you the new track. And I guess everyone will be staying up for that, us included. My name's Nathan Foy, joined by the Skype team, who are here for another hour this time. We have David, Marcel, Strat, Lee, and Hank. Hello, all.
Good.
Hello.
Hello.
Guess it's good night at this point.
Is it?
For me, yeah. I mean, like, in terms of time of day.
Yes, good evening, indeed. I thought you were leaving us at the start of the
No,
show.
no,
That was
not
very
yet.
strange. Okay, well, let's get straight to it, shall we? And what are we looking at here?
This is storm surge. Yellow is anything above 3 feet. So
Yeah,
we've got
that's right.
South Palm Beach tracking north. So South Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, storm surge 3 feet. So the yellow is 3 feet. The red is greater than 9 feet. Quite a bit of area in blue around the 1 foot mark or above. Quite a bit of yellow and nothing at this point in time above 9 feet. But I think the consensus amongst the members here in the studio, that picture will change. So South Palm Beach up to West Palm Beach.
It is pretty
Now we,
changeable
scroll
indeed.
up.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, I noticed it gives you a better view if you switch on the map layer options to just inundation layer only. It shows a bit more in just in general.
Right.
So
Well,
I
as
think
we
it-
often do from the top of the hour, I may as well read out the warnings. We ought to do this every so often. The hurricane warning is in effect for the southeastern Bahamas, including the Anaguas, Namaiguana, Acklins, Crooked Island, Long Key, and Ragged Island. The central Bahamas, including Long Island, Exuma, Rum Key, San Salvador, and Cat Island. The northwestern Bahamas, including the Abacos, Andros Island, Berry Island, Bimini, Eleuthera, Grand Bahama Island, and New Providence. North of Golden Beach, Florida, to the Flagler-Volusia County line, and Lake Okeechobee. Hurricane warnings for all of those. A hurricane watch is in effect for north of the Flagler-Volusia County line to Savannah River, and a tropical storm warning is in effect for Chokoloskee to Golden Beach, Florida Keys from 7 Mile Beach eastward, and Florida Bay. A tropical storm watch is in effect for north of Chokoloskee to Suwannee River. Now, talking about the hazards affecting the land areas, I'll talk about rainfall. In the Bahamas, it's 8 to 12 inches, up to 15 inches possible in the Bahamas. In the Florida Keys, 1 to 3 inches up to 5, and the coastal eastern Florida, 4 to 7 inches, isolated amounts up to 10. As for storm surge, the Bahamas, it's 10 to 15 feet, and for Florida, as you're seeing on the graphics here, Sebastian Inlet to Savannah River, and further north, Sebastian Inlet to Savannah River, 5 to 8 feet, Deerfield Beach to Sebastian Inlet, 3 to 5 feet, and Virginia Key to Deerfield Beach, 1 to 2 feet. Those are numbers that have a prerequisite. It's only if the peak surge occurs at the time of high tide.
Okay, so I think the people of Florida shall now be prepared. Now, I think they are
Says
now
Marcel.
prepared. They
Any more news from Colombia, by the way, Marcel?
so we had rains in many parts of the country, but that's normal by
Normal amounts of rainfall, then?
yes.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Well, David, would you like to where are we looking at now?
Just further north, and you can see the massive area in yellow. There was a bit of
is this Georgia now
red.
we're looking at, or somewhere else?
I'll just come
How
out.
far up are we here? Yeah,
Hinesville, Savannah.
yeah, Georgia there.
I think that's Brunswick to the south.
That's right.
And right up to Charleston.
Indeed, and could be significant amounts of surge for all of those locations.
I think right now, at least in my opinion, my primary area of concern is I don't want to butcher it.
Go on.
I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit just to get the accurate thing. Palm Coast, Daytona Beach, and Titusville. Those are my three primary areas of concern, at least in terms of Florida with storm surge.
Yeah, we calculated earlier that Daytona Beach is likely to receive the storm around high tide, so that is the concern. Have you seen the latest satellite imagery? It's getting rather concerning, don't you think?
I haven't seen the visible. I did see infrared.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
I'll screen share the.
So
visible
I've sort of responded to
show
Ashley Hall's question there, saying it looks like the storm is getting more organised. It does appear to be the case looking at this imagery alone, but I've not seen anything else. Steve Ross says, how strong do you think winds will get at Coal Springs? I'm guessing that's along the coast of Florida somewhere. I'll have to get the exact location. Inland. In Broward County though, so everywhere in Broward County is under a hurricane warning, whether that's inland or on the coast, and things could get a little bit nasty over there perhaps, but it is sort of on the edge, so I would suggest that hurricane conditions will be felt there at present. But you got to really watch out if this storm decides to move a little bit further west if you're in those kinds of areas right now. At the moment, it doesn't appear as though that is the case. But the track forecast could change any time. The storm could change its mind at any time. At the moment, it appears to be on course for what the forecast cone said. And whilst that's good news for Miami, possibly, it seems to be very bad news for Nassau, which the storm is approaching rather quickly, and as a Category 3 storm it could pass extremely close, and that's one of my biggest concerns about the storm in the immediate future.
Yeah. I think a little bit earlier it was tracking a bit east of forecast, but it seems like it's kind of corrected itself lately in particular, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember we talked a little bit earlier how it seemed a bit east of the track because it was south of an island that the Hurricane Center wanted to be west of at that time. Although, at least in the last few hours, it seems that the storm's made a bit of a westerly jog in particular, mostly in the last hour or two.
I think I saw someone talking about Miami-Dade County. At the moment, it's looking iffy over there. At the moment, tropical storm warnings for the area. Those could be upgraded to hurricane warnings if the storm decides to deviate west. It hasn't so far. At the moment, it's looking like tropical storm conditions there.
Yep.
So let's go through all the areas of Florida and beyond now, including inland locations that are under all the warnings right now. First, to report what the weather is in southern Florida. There was some rain showers. They appear to be dispersing. There is a small line of rain by the looks of it, just south of Fort Pierce, extending towards the center part of Florida, south of Lake Okeechobee, and some thunderstorms clearing the vicinity south to the southwest of Key West. So, tropical storm warnings for these locations: Marathon, Key Largo on the Keys, and all points in between. Homestead and Miami, tropical storm warning. To the southwest there as well, Monroe County, I believe it is, tropical storm warning. most of Collier County under a tropical storm warning, but the coastal areas are actually only under a watch. That's Everglades City and Naples included, tropical storm watch. Same in Fort Myers. Then you've got Fort Lauderdale and the whole of Broward County under a hurricane warning. That extends northwards to include West Palm Beach, Jupiter, Stewart, Fort Pierce, Vero Beach, Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville, and then to Daytona Beach. Then inland you've got Deltona, Sanford, Orlando, and Okeechobee, all under hurricane warnings as well. Sebring and Leesburg under tropical storm warnings, and then along the western coast, Sarasota, Tampa, all those points in between, and Ocala, tropical storm watch. Further north, we have Gainesville under a tropical storm watch, Jacksonville under a hurricane watch, and just to note that there is some weather approaching Jacksonville Beach and a little bit further inland as well, so there could be some thunderstorms possible over there right now. A special marine warning has been issued for it. Hinesville and Savannah under a hurricane watch over in Georgia. And beyond there, beyond the border with South Carolina, no warnings yet in South Carolina, but looking at it, hurricane watches could be raised at any time.
Yeah, it is noted, at least for me, that despite the fact South Carolina is the state out of the closest three to the storm that doesn't have any warnings, it is the one state that does have current mandatory evacuations in effect.
On a large scale, certainly.
It does include the Charleston metropolitan area, so it's if we were reading the numbers correctly earlier in the day when they were reporting that 1.1 million people are being ordered to evacuate there.
If you've got any comments or questions for us, start your message with Force 13, all in text, ideally, and and we'll do our best and endeavour to reply. You can also contact us on Facebook and Twitter. Search Force 13, all in text.
I'm looking at the rainfall map right now. I noticed it's the same as earlier. I'm just looking at it again. It does look like Titusville is shifted into an area of 10 plus inches of rain.
Is it
and
now?
considering they're already one of our areas concerned for storm surge, I'm not really sure that that's gonna be helping at all. It's under the red, the scales right here. Red is clearly marked as in between 10 15 inches. Fortunately, at least it's on the edge of that, so closer to 10 for sure, at least for now. It depends if the track keeps shifting west or not, as it's been trending towards. Also, I noticed recon going on in the storm right now.
Reconnaissance flights.
It looks like, one of the recon is actually going in for a second swoop at the eye right now. It's like a pretty quick ramp up in wind speed there, but the storm is much stronger on the northeast side, which I guess is fortunate for the southeast coast, because they're going to mostly be getting the northwest and southwest side in general, which are definitely weaker than up here for sure. And then I know there's another recon flight. Oh, there's a third that's coming out right now, apparently.
All right, whilst you take a look and digest any of the recon data, I'll take some more questions. If it makes landfall in Florida, how many billions in damage can it cause? Well, we're not going to speculate those sorts of things right now, but hey, if preparations are the best they can be, it will be as low as possible. Keegan M says, so will windows just break at 75 to 100 mile an hour winds? I'm in Orlando and can't board up. That I'm not too sure about. I guess it depends on, the local environment and what sort of windows they are. I don't really have much experience in that sort of thing. I don't know about you, Strat or Hank.
I will say, during Sandy, at least I went through 90 mile an hour winds, so we didn't board up our windows, but we did place tarmac or whatever you call it to block any debris if it did break. I mean, it didn't break, but everyone's windows are different,
Rattling,
I guess. So
I guess.
try to, if you have anything that you can put up, if you can't board it to protect any debris if the window were to break, do that.
Okay. Let's see. Anything else? Will the Bahama Islands weaken, Matthew? not much would be my suggestion.
Yep, because they're not really mountainous, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's see, what have we got? Where is the current radar image from? It's not actually radar image, it's satellite infrared imagery, which is obviously from space. So that is available on NOAA. And just looking at anything else. King Gamer says, I'm in Naples and can't board up. I live right on the beach. What do I do?
Pretty
At the
much,
moment, Naples isn't looking all that bad. There could be some issues, maybe, but at the moment it's not looking that bad. But if it trends westward, then there could be a concern going on there. But I guess if you don't feel safe where you are, evacuate.
in terms of boarding up, I would say if you can't board up, like I just said, try to find something to cover the window in case it somehow manages to break.
Ricardo says, what about Southeast Florida and the Florida Keys? Well, we mentioned just a few minutes ago about those. Tropical storm warning for Miami-Dade County and the upper and middle Keys. So tropical storm conditions are between 40 and 75 miles an hour will be expected in those locations. Miami is almost borderline with hurricane force conditions, and if the track shifts west, which it doesn't look like it will right now, but if it does in future, you could be looking at potential hurricane conditions there. I think I saw other questions saying whether it would be worse than Andrew. I wouldn't want to compare it to Andrew. It's not as strong as Andrew, but it could cause similar amounts of damage, but it would be over a wider area and less concentrated.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference, Andrew was in an area where its movement kind of maximized, kind of in general, storm surge, along with its wind speed being tightly packed, especially going over a populated area. So,
Jenna Mellett says, what are squalls and are they dangerous? I had a little story with a squall line earlier this year. I was on the periphery of Hurricane Earl in Mexico earlier this year, and it really didn't do much, but that was on the extreme edge of the hurricane, not inside per se. And a squall line came by the next day, and it was 5 times worse. So squall lines can sometimes be a little bit dangerous, but generally it's a bit rough if you're caught out in it, I guess. Could cause some flash flooding.
Yeah.
What else do we have here? What about Cuba? Did they get hit yet? Yes, and it's now leaving Cuba. Cuba is in the clear now, so it will be a recovery phase for whatever may have happened in eastern Cuba, which we don't really know much about. And people talking about, you know, I'm sort of getting the impression from some people that the fact that the storm hasn't made itself felt yet is cause for celebration that the storm will not arrive at all. Well, that's wrong. The warnings may have come out really early, say 2 or 3 days in advance, but the warnings are still in effect for good reason. And if I go out to the wide view, you'll see why. There's the latest. There's Matthew's heading. It's towards Florida, and as you can see, it has been a dry day for Florida with a few showers popping up in later on in that sequence there. But things are going to start to deteriorate during tomorrow, and definitely by tomorrow evening, you're going to see significant conditions starting to occur along the Florida coastline, and it's going to be downhill from there if you're along the east coast until Saturday morning at the earliest. Now, let's see. Do we have an estimated time that it will hit or make landfall? It depends where you are. Sorry, you may have already told me, but I think the latest is that it's saying that it's going to be Friday morning that it will start to be felt along the eastern coast. Friday evening it will be the storm will be with parts of Florida, the closest parts, And then Friday night into Saturday morning will be the worst times for the areas around West Palm Beach, heading up towards Vero Beach in the early hours of the morning. Cape Canaveral probably by daybreak, maybe a little bit earlier. And then Jacksonville later in the day, and Daytona Beach later in the day as well. That's on Saturday, I believe, is it?
1 day earlier for everything.
Oh, did I get it wrong?
Yeah, you're just 1 day off, so just
The
shift
day
everything
earlier.
back 24
It means
hours.
everything now.
Yeah, 2 p.m. Thursday is
2
probably
p.m.
closest
Thursday.
approach to
It's
Miami.
coming up. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. I'm completely losing track of the days. So that's the situation there. Let's see, what else do we have? If you've got any more questions, do send them in. Someone wants to know about what they'll do with the sports on the East Coast this weekend. It depends. I doubt the sports situation will be affected beyond North Carolina, because it looks like the storm's not going to go beyond there. There is still rumblings that it might, but most models taking the storm either out to sea if it's going to go in that direction, and I'd say northern North Carolina would probably be okay, at least for the next 3 days, and until then is probably not safe to say anything to rule in or out anything yet. Leo Mesa says, will the power in Miami go out? What do you reckon, Strat?
Oh, no, I didn't say anything.
Now, what do you reckon? Do you think the power will go out in Miami?
Oh, power out in Miami? I mean, it's a metropolitan, so a lot of the power lines are underground. But if you have, like, one big central area that powers a good amount of the city, that rise or whatever, you could most definitely lose power. That's one of the reasons.
Tropical storm conditions. At the moment, it's looking like Miami will probably stay switched on, but further north, maybe not. Jenna Mellett says, how high do the winds have to be to knock a tree down, a palm tree to be exact? Probably pretty high. I don't actually know, but you often see palm trees that survive major hurricanes looking all defoliated.
Yeah, you could say, like, sometimes it goes like that, but other times, it depends on how, saturated the ground is and stuff, but often or occasionally something as simple as, just 40-mile-an-hour sustained and a stronger gust with weak soil could bring a tree down.
So, yeah, there could be trees falling. Ricardo Hernandez says, what is the worst case scenario for the Florida Keys and the southeast of Florida if the trajectory changes? Good question. It's difficult to tell you about a worst case scenario.
I can bring up spaghetti just to
without
show
sounding
a specific
alarmist.
Model.
So good idea. We'll bring out what the worst of the models say then, if we want to go this way.
Yeah, the worst, I guess, are the BAM and the BAMs. Those two are this one and this one. I see the BAMs kind of loops it around.
We can't see anything yet, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Are we falling into that problem again?
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not. Screen sharing issues over there.
I'll just give it one more shot. I'll just say 2 models do show it, actually no, 3 do show it looping background into Miami and the Keys.
Is Hank able to show it at all? Is he there?
I'm still here. I'm going to be leaving in like 2 minutes anyways.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm doing
pretty much
algebra homework and there's not really much to say.
Yeah. I have to leave soon too, unfortunately, but so I guess the worst case for the Keys and Miami is this move further west than forecast, which, some of the ensemble models, which if you ever see this, are like the gray squiggly lines come true, and then one of the BAMs works out and it loops back around and hits Miami and the Keys again. But it does look like if that scenario were to fill out, it'd be a weaker system by that point.
Okay, well, let's flick back to the latest satellite imagery, and this is what the storm looks like right now on the infrared imagery, which is sort of the best way to discern the thing right now. And you can see the storm continuing on its movement towards the northwest. Long Island in the Bahamas is just on the right hand side in those last frames, and you can see it's been getting pretty battered in the last few hours. I'm not sure of the name of that almost equally long island to its west that the storm is pretty much on top of right now. I can tell you that Nassau is just off to the northwest over there, and at the current storm's path, you would suggest that it's going to be a really close call for the capital of the Bahamas, and it could be a
Yes.
long night over there.
And Nathan,
Yep.
Recon has just entered the center, and they found 960.5 millibars yet again.
960.5.
And with that, I'm going to be leaving the call.
Well,
So-
thank you very much for joining us this evening, Hank.
Yeah, no
Night.
problem. Anytime.
We'll see
See
you
you
again
guys.
soon.
Yeah.
So the pressure falling slightly, and that doesn't appear to be a surprise with the eye coming out a little bit more. It still has a decent chance of intensifying somewhat before landfall in Florida. Will it reach Category 4 intensity? Unsure, but
I am back.
yes, welcome back. But a lot of people comparing it potentially to some of the storms of 2004, perhaps, and maybe that could be one of the fairest comparisons. Not sure yet. Devon earlier compared it to Francis, but who knows? At the
would
moment,
say
it's all uncertain. Okay.
You could compare potentials, but you can't compare what actually happens until it's done.
It is. If you've got any questions for us, start your comment with the Force 13 name. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Search Force 13, all in text. Or you can add Fool 13 on Skype. That's FOOL13. We're here broadcasting until midnight Eastern Time, and after that we will go. We will do what we did the last two nights, and we'll be sort of in a passive mode. We'll keep showing you the imagery, but we won't be here to tell you anything because we have to take a break and recuperate, and it's probably what you guys should be doing over in Florida as well at that time. So just a heads up that we will be here until midnight, and then we'll return again with more coverage tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We will begin again. Strat, anything to report?
There was one last question that I'll answer for now. Then I really have to call it a night.
Okay.
But I am seeing a lot of questions asking, like, what happens if Matthew and Nicole merge? First off, the odds of that happening are extremely low. Although, interestingly, if you look in the left side of the stream, it does look like Nicole's southwest side is actually starting to attach the outer bands of Matthew. But if such a thing were to happen, it doesn't become like a superstorm or something, then maybe the size of Matthew would bump up a bit, but that's really it. And I guess with that, I'll call it a night. Thank you for having me, and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Strat, and we'll see you again soon. Well, let's get on to some more comments. Let's see. Is the cone moving more west for the 11 p.m. update? Well, I don't know, because I'm not the National Hurricane Center. You might want to ask them. Maybe they don't know yet. But in an hour and a half, we will find out. And obviously, I'll let you know whether the cone has shifted or not. Let's see. I saw plenty of other questions. Have we been live streaming all day? We've been live streaming for over 2 days actually, and we will be continuing our rolling coverage until the storm makes its closest approach to Florida. Hello, Lee.
Yeah, I would like to mention a little thing at the moment about Nicole. We've had a wee discussion, me and Adam and David in the other room, and we've noticed that we've actually heard of the National Hurricane Center mention this. They're saying that Nicole may become a weak Category 1 hurricane.
Yeah, well, one or two models have been suggesting as much. It's had a battle.
Yes, it's definitely looking like a Cat 1 hurricane at the moment,
Right.
On satellite imagery.
Okay, well, comments
so I
going
just thought
through
I
really
just thought I'd
quickly,
let you,
so sorry to cut you off, but I got to go through
Okay,
these
you
real
go.
quick. Jaden Hoppock says, What will happen to South Carolina? Well, already they're evacuating, that's for sure. It's still not quite assured that the storm will hit South Carolina, though hurricane force conditions are possible, though not yet expected. Tropical storm conditions are probably likely, but again, not certain. There's all sorts of things that could yet happen. Crazy, if you ask me, because there is a lot of uncertainty with what's going on right now. Let's see. Environment says, how often do these images update? They update every half an hour, but I have to do it manually, so you may not necessarily see it update every half hour, but it updates. I get to it regularly, so you'll see it.
Nathan's like to cut and Caesar's looking to come in.
Ah, yes. Cesar is in Mexico, and he's had his fair share of hurricanes in the past as well. And
Yes.
I'm sure he'll have a thing or two to say as we continue our coverage. Ah, Cesar, hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
What do you think of the storm right now?
Well, it really is surprising me a lot because I still cannot believe the amount of time that Matthew has being a major system, and well, and actually it will make landfall again in the United States, and possibly it could restrain again because it will move out of the coast. I mean, it will make a southeast turn.
It's crazy, isn't it, on those models?
Exactly. I'm speechless because Matthew has been a really impressive storm. I don't think that anybody expected something like that. Really, Matthew is an impressive storm. And well, I just hope the best in the future for the people who lives in the Bahamas. And
yeah, that's a real cause for concern right now over the Bahamas, and indeed over the capital, Nassau, who could receive major hurricane conditions yet.
That's right, and actually, the storm is over there. The eye of the system is trying to form again, and it's accelerating too, intensifying too. So Bahamas actually, or Bahamas, I don't know how it's pronounced.
Yeah, the Bahamas.
Yes, the Bahamas they are in really bad danger. I just
no, it is a serious situation for some of those islands already. They're right in all that black area of the on the IR imagery, showing extremely cold cloud tops and therefore a very intense part of the storm. And I know that Devon's commenting in text. He's unable to continue on the stream at this time, at least, saying that he thinks it's looking stronger than he said it was earlier, and may be on a strengthening trend again. So who knows?
That's right, and well, I just hope that everybody are prepared for this kind of storm, because, well, Matthew will not stop. Matthew will intensify even more, and Florida will receive maybe hurricane conditions depending how close pass over there.
Oh, it's looking almost certain now, wouldn't you think, that the eastern coast of Florida, north of, say, Palm Beach, would receive hurricane conditions now?
That's possible, and I think they will. The storm is really organizing really well in the last frames, and that really well. I live so far from there, but it really scares me.
Yeah, there's a lot of background noise going on somewhere. Sorry about that.
Well, it's not me.
In any case, I was just going to go on to something else, which I've actually since forgotten about. What I was going to go on to next. Let's see. Brian Green says, what do you personally think about how strong it will get and where it will make landfall? I don't really want to... It's not a personal stream, but I think it's likely that Florida will receive hurricane force conditions, or worse as time goes on. But you know, we'll know for sure, or at least much better than we can know right now, in around 24 hours from now.
That's right. The models are saying that Matthew, it could possibly pass over Florida.
Yeah, Cesar, I'm not sure if you're able to screen share at all.
Yes, but I have nothing. Well, yes, I have something. Let me show you a screen share of the track forecast of Matthew from Weather Underground. So, oh no, there it is. Well, as from that forecast track, it says that Matthew could possibly make landfall at 2 p.m. by Friday. That's the next 1.5 day or 2 days. But from the afternoon on Thursday, they will receive. Well, Florida will start receiving really bad conditions as a Category 4 system, and actually
potentially
really potentially. Well, this is the track of the next 3 days, but looking at the 5-day forecast, they say that it will make.
It's just madness in the 5-day forecast. You know, we're not even going to look that far.
or looking at that too. That's
the spaghetti
really
models.
Crazy. It really. I don't know why, but something like that reminds me like Hurricane Ivan or Ivan. I don't know.
There's that name again.
I don't know. I just remember the track of that really bad hurricane.
Right.
So.
Okay, well, at 20 to 10, let me reiterate all the warnings that are in effect on your screen right now. Hurricane warnings are in effect for most of the Bahamas. A hurricane watch, not just the Bahamas, but Florida, north of Golden Beach to the Flagler-Volusia County line and Lake Okeechobee. Hurricane watch is in effect for north of the Flagler-Volusia County line to Savannah River. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Chokoloskee to Golden Beach, the Florida Keys from 7 Mile Bridge eastward, and Florida Bay. A tropical storm watch is in effect for north of Chokoloskee to Suwannee River. A hurricane watch means that hurricane conditions are possible within the watch area, typically issued 48 hours before the anticipated first occurrence of tropical storm force winds. And looking at that graphic, it would appear that tropical storm force winds will begin to arrive in eastern Florida and in southeastern Florida in about 24 hours or less on Thursday afternoon. Then on Thursday evening, it will arrive in West Palm Beach northwards, and it will get serious hurricane conditions there potentially into Friday morning, and by Friday afternoon it will be just north of Titusville by the looks of it, and then it will make its closest approach to Daytona Beach, which is one place I'm concerned about because it's likely to coincide with high tide. And then by Saturday it will be near South Carolina, apparently, not for certain. Rainfall to be expected is for the Bahamas 8 to 12 inches, up to 15 in isolated locations. Florida, the coastal eastern Florida, 4 to 7 inches, isolated amounts up to 10, and for the Florida Keys, 1 to 3 inches up to 5. And then as far as storm surge is concerned, the Bahamas could receive 10 to 15 feet of storm surge, and the water could reach the following heights above ground if the peak surge occurs at the time of high tide. For Sebastian Inlet to Savannah River, it's 5 to 8 feet. Deerfield Beach to Sebastian Inlet, it's 3 to 5 feet. And Virginia Key to Deerfield Beach, it's 1 to 2 feet. You can stay up to date on Facebook and Twitter, search Force13 all in text, or you can add me on Skype. The name is Fool13, FOOL13. And if you find that there's a duplicate, mine is the one with a capital F to begin with, if that's confusing anyone, which I believe it confused someone yesterday. I no idea about that. Okay, is there anything else that you guys would like to pick up upon right now?
I don't know, maybe the unexpected organization of Nicole.
Yeah, Nicole, and how it could possibly become a hurricane. Small chance. Well, maybe not a small chance anymore.
Well, I would say the chances are actually increasing significantly for Nicole since it's such a small storm. The chances are it will reach Cat 1 status tomorrow. Possibly maximum out at about 80 miles an hour. Cat 1 hurricane, just to the south of Bermuda, is that right, Dave? It's not far from Bermuda, Nicole.
Well, it'll end up not being far from Bermuda eventually.
Yeah, I think it's not far from there, but anyway.
People want confirmation about the social mediums and such. They appear down the bottom of the screen every so often. So look out for it there on the text. But yeah, Facebook and Twitter, Force13, all in text. Pretty much as you see our channel name, it's all one word, Force13. Or you can add Fool13 on Skype. That's FOOL13. Oh. And moving on. So Matthew's still moving towards the northwest at this time, as a Category 3 with winds of 115 miles per hour. And Lee, you think it's on an intensifying trend?
Yes, I think it will reach Category 4, and I think it could affect the east side of Florida as a Cat 4 hurricane of 135 miles an hour.
How many?
That's 135 miles an hour.
You're expecting Category 4 landfall.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it's quite possible, and currently it's what the National Hurricane Centre is forecasting. But will it change at 11 o'clock?
I think the eye's actually looking better as well. Just looking at the latest imagery you're showing on the stream.
It's looking healthier.
I think the eye's looking healthier than what it was earlier on.
It is looking healthier, the eye. But I'm just going to see if there is a new image on it as well. And here it is. It's just loading now. There's the latest frame. Is it there yet? Nope, you're not seeing it on the stream yet. So that means I'm doing something wrong.
15 seconds delay, I think.
There is a 15-second delay on the stream, but I still can't see it on the master image here that is up to date live. And there it is now with the latest frame showing the eye. Not much change to the untrained eye, I suppose, but it's looking better, I would say, maybe overall, and it's not so bad.
Yeah, I think it is gradually getting better, the eye, and I think it will restrengthen as forecast.
Yeah, clearly Matthew is intensifying, and I see another period of rapid intensification of the system. I don't know, I think the eye is really appearing again, well, organizing really well again, and well, the clouds are really, really cold too, so that's another sign. Sorry for the background noise. Non-stop lightning.
Is it really thunderstorms?
Yes, a non-stop lightning right now.
I saw
I
your pictures, see that.
I recorded some minutes ago, but it started raining, so I came back to home and helped you with the stream. And but well, that's common in my place in this time. But well,
Indeed. The comments coming
A good
through like
thunderstorm,
lightning
I
right
like a
now,
good
so do start your message with the name Force 13, which helps me filter out some of the messages if you really want a response. But I will try and sift through them if I can. But if you've got any more, I think someone asked about South Carolina again. It's unknown. We're not quite sure what it's going to do in South Carolina, and much less North Carolina. We're expecting hurricane conditions at the moment for South Carolina, and that's why that evacuation has taken place. Obviously, a mandatory evacuation for, I believe, 1.1 million people. I saw the number bandied about. So, you know, and I believe the Florida coastlines have not heard anything official, but people have been telling me that it's there's lots of evacuations along the coastline for virtually the whole east coast almost. So we'll run through the places again that are under watches and warnings in Florida itself. So Marathon and Key Largo on the Florida Keys, and all points in between under a tropical storm warning. That also is in Homestead and Miami under a tropical storm warning. Monroe County also. Collier County, I believe it is further north, tropical storm warning, but on the coast, Naples and Everglades City under a tropical storm watch only. Fort Myers likewise. And then on the other side, Fort Lauderdale and Broward County, the whole of Broward County northwards, hurricane warnings. That extends beyond West Palm Beach, Jupiter, Stewart, Fort Pierce, Vero Beach, Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville, and to Daytona Beach and slightly beyond there. And then inland you've got Deltona, Sanford, Orlando, and Okeechobee that are all under hurricane warnings as well. And then you've got Sebring and Leesburg under tropical storm warnings, and Sarasota, Tampa, Ocala, and further north, I always have to get to the next page, Gainesville, all those areas under tropical storm watches. Jacksonville under a hurricane watch, and some thunderstorms or some bad weather that's moved inland off the coast of Jacksonville seems to be sort of dissipating. So some rainfall occurring just to the southeast of Jacksonville right now. Hinesville and Savannah under hurricane watches also up in Georgia, and then nothing in South Carolina yet at this point. And someone else telling me away from here that all schools in Central Florida have been closed on Thursday and Friday, and I believe it was Nuke who was
yes, that's correct.
Who was confirming that earlier when that information came out, but just wise to reiterate all that information. So let me just get back to any comments that may or may not have been sent in. If there are any, Brian Green says, please explain why you feel it's intensifying. Well, taking a look at it there, you know, look at the start of that loop that you're looking at there. The northern eye wall was there, but the southern one was looking pretty lackey. And then now you can see the black areas all around the eye this time, and that could be a precedent to a significant intensification phase, which could well be beginning. We don't know for sure. We won't until it happens. But it looks like, after tracking storms for 5 years, that you certainly start to recognize how these things look when they're on the onset of doing something. Could be wrong, of course, but it could be intensifying at this point.
Yeah.
As always, we wait to see later frames to see whether it will change. Will it hit central Florida? Yes, it's quite likely. Obviously, on the eastern coast, it will be worse than on the western coast. And it's still moving on towards the northwest, and it's getting pretty close to the central Bahamas now.
Yes, definitely. I think the next flight that goes in will determine if it's.
And there is actually evidence that it has intensified slightly, ever so slightly, from those recon flights.
Maybe 120 again.
It's gone down at least a millibar so far, so very slight.
Maybe it might be up at 120 again. We'll see what next advisory says.
Other questions?
Yeah.
Will it remain a Category 3 when it hits around Titusville, or it will be Category 4 by that time? Difficult to say. Most people, I reckon, are siding on the Category 4 side, but it could be weaker at that point as well. But either way, if you're in Titusville, you should be preparing for the storm as if it was a Category 4, because that is quite a possibility. Stayafuma says rapid intensification or not. That's too early to tell, but watch this space in the next few hours, I would say, would be my hunch.
Yeah, I think you'll be right, Nathan. Yeah.
And I don't have quick access to any recon information over here, so if anyone does have that to hand, then do let me know if you get it.
We should.
But there we are.
We should head for that. No.
Sorry?
That's okay.
Well, in which case, we will take a break. We'll be back again in a few minutes' time at the next hour, at 10 o'clock on the East Coast. And in an hour's time, we'll be finding out what the National Hurricane Center think about the storm. And we'll return in 8 minutes' time. Stay tuned.
See you shortly.
See ya.
We're not going, Cesar. We'll be back in a few minutes.
I know.
Yeah, that's why I just said see you shortly.